Warriors are up 21, and it's Curry, another deep three, and he lets that go, and they're extending the lead, and then just 2 minutes later, Curry's still on the floor. That's his ninth three of the night. 9 of 14. Curry scores 37. Warriors win it in a blowout. Their ridiculously impressive season just gets better and better, and Tim Legler gets up with us early here. What do we say about the Warriors right now? To ask you if they're the best team in the NBA seems too obvious. What are we seeing in this team right now?
Well, listen, obviously they've gotten off to a great start, and I'm paying attention, I'm watching them, but I think last night, Greeny, was the first time that I watched them and I said, this team can win a championship this year. Prior to that, I said, oh, it's okay, they're back in the mix, they're certainly a relevant team. We know how good some of these teams are in the West, and all of those teams, by the way, are missing key guys, so we got to see what they look like when they're whole. But last night, the quickness defensively, the way that this team can help recover, close out to the three-point line, the versatility that they have, the fresh legs that they have, and then obviously the elephant in the room, the greatness of Steph Curry. I actually think this guy is playing better basketball than he did when he was a two-time MVP. It looks that easy to him right now. Everything that he does on the court and the way that defenses gravitate toward him, he's got this magnetic pull that makes it so difficult to communicate where he is at all times, and it makes the game so easy for everybody else on the floor. There's never been a guy like this in terms of his shooting. There's also never been a guy that requires this much attention and communication from the time he starts moving up the floor all the way through the possession. And his greatness is at a level now that I actually didn't know if he could get to once again. He showed me at the end of last year that he could, and Greeny, he's picked right up where he left off. This is the best team in the NBA, and this team can win a championship, and it's scary. I'm saying it now, and they don't even have Klay Thompson.
And they probably will soon. He was cleared for full contact practice yesterday. He's probably weeks away now from making his return. Meanwhile, we have the Lakers on our air twice this week. We have them tonight and then Friday night in Boston. They're playing without LeBron, and they're only 8-7. Is LeBron enough to fix whatever it is that is going wrong right now with LA?
Oh, listen, LeBron James is certainly the ultimate handyman, right? He's got every tool in his belt. If you need something fixed, he can probably fix it. But he can't fix everything wrong with this team. What we're going to need to see out of the Lakers is a sustained run of a month at least, where all three of their star players are playing together, and it's going to give me a much better idea. It's almost impossible to judge this team at this point, but I'll say this. I do worry about the fact that I don't think the regular season means that much to the Lakers. And I think that's a trap to fall into, because as great as they are, if their talent, if they fall into that trap of, hey, if these guys are all healthy April 15th, we can run through the Western Conference and through the finals and go on this 2-month run. I think that's a dangerous mindset, because you're going to have to play 3 straight road series in the Western Conference. I don't care if you have LeBron James or not. At some point, you will lose the first 2 games in one of those series, and you're not coming out of the West if that happens. So I think with all those veterans and the lack of importance that they place on the regular season, I think that's going to be a big issue. But let me at least see what it looks like for 15 straight games with their 3-star players out there. And I don't know if we'll ever get that, because all 3 of these guys have dealt with injuries over the past couple of years.
All right, Legs, stay close by. We'll get back to you as we continue this morning. Great backdrop, by the way, very dramatic. As I mentioned, we got a good one tonight. We got the Lakers tonight. We'll be in Milwaukee to be the #1 seed in the NFC.
Cowboys, I think. Yeah, I think that you can argue, looking at schedule, that maybe the Bucks have a decent schedule, but that team is struggling right now and has some big holes in it. The Cowboys, I think, have a pretty easy schedule considering their division, and they're playing well, and they seem to be getting better on defense. I think the same thing could be said for the Green Bay Packers as a team that schedule looks like they could win the rest of the way out. So I think, honestly, it's a coin toss between the two of them, but I'm leaning Cowboys.
It's worth a reminder, that first game of the season where the Bucks edged the Cowboys could wind up being the decider there, because unlike in college, head-to-head matters in the NFL. One more. Who is the most underrated quarterback in the NFL right now?
Oh, it's Jalen Hurts by far. He's been playing incredibly well. I think it's probably fair to compare him to Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's not Lamar Jackson, but his impact on this running game and it opens up the passing game is close. Like, you can't find anyone else to compare it to. Obviously, he's a poor man's or a destitute man's Lamar Jackson, but he is that version of player where his impact, making them a really strong running game, makes everything better. And his yards per attempt they're not bad. Like, he's better than Herbert. He's better than Mahomes in yards per attempt through the air.
Yes, this is actually sneaky big news.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is playing great. And take a look at the schedule the rest of the way for the Eagles. They've won 2 out of 3. They're running the ball like crazy. Their remaining schedule is second easiest in the league. They will not need to get on a plane the rest of the way, and they've got 5 of their final 7 against NFC East opponents. And so, it's been a long time since we dusted this one off. Tell me I'm wrong or tell me I'm right for Kmart over here. I'm telling you right now, Kimberly Martin, the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's an aggressive role.
What are we doing? How about the Eagles win at home first before we say they're going to playoffs? How about, could we win it? Could we do that? Yes.
They are 0-4 at home.
Right. Okay. So they're ahead of, think about all the teams ahead of them. I just think there are too many good teams in the NFC for them to actually make the playoffs. I think
the NFC is kind of top heavy. There's some good teams at the top of the NFC, but I'm not so impressed with the rest of the teams. And I think that the Eagles, we're judging them a lot on what we expected and also how they started. They figured out a new way to play around Jalen Hurts, who was supposed to be a bridge quarterback. They were supposed to use all 3 of these draft picks that they have coming up to move up in the draft and get another quarterback. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to make a run to get into playoffs, and he may fight for an opportunity to not be a bridge quarterback, to be a franchise quarterback, because if you look at his production over the first several games of his career, it's up there and above a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that we thought were franchise quarterbacks.
I want to talk about this a little more as we go because I got legs ready to go. But this team is actually so much better situated than anyone is giving it credit for. We need to get more into it, despite Kimberly's eye roll. In the meantime, the game of the night last night, the performance of the night, and the player of the year in the NBA clearly is Steph Curry here in Brooklyn, right across the river from us, against former teammate Kevin Durant. And it was just Steph. As always, third quarter, Warriors up 8. They're working the give and go. They take an 11-point lead. Warriors playing great defense. Kevin Durant had 0 field goals in the second half. And then watch off the miss here. Watch them turning defense into offense. Look at that pass from Steph to Draymond Green. The Warriors just pulling away. Fourth quarter, they're just having fun.